Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Cooking for the Family. I'm Devon and today I'm going to share with you a cookie that is very special to me. This is chocolate gingerbread cookies and I cannot wait to share this awesome recipe with you and share with you why this Christmas cookie is just so special. You ready? Let's get started. Now, this recipe that I'm sharing with you is part of my 12 days of cookies and holiday treats. And if you haven't seen those vlogs, I invite you to watch those 12 days of Christmas treats and holiday cookies. And I hope that you truly enjoy them and share those recipes with your friends and your family. Now to our bowl, I added 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and that was unbleached all-purpose flour. And also to that, we're going to add some cocoa. And I like to use this premium baking Dutch cocoa, and that is going to be 3/4 of a cup of that premium cocoa. Now to that, we're going to add some baking soda, and that was 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now also these cookies have a little bit of a lift to them, and that's going to come from that baking powder, and that was 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Now these cookies, of course, are gingerbread chocolate cookies, and you cannot have gingerbread chocolate cookies without having some ginger. And this is ground ginger, and we're going to be using 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. Now to that, this is part of our spices that we're going to put in these wonderful cookies. So that was 1/2 teaspoon of the ground ginger, and now we're going to use some cloves. And we're going to be using 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. Now also to this, we're going to be adding a little bit of cinnamon, okay? And we're going to be using 1/2 teaspoon of some cinnamon. All these wonderful spices together make such an excellent cookie, and paired with that cocoa, it's just a wonderful, wonderful marry of flavors. And we're also going to put in a little bit of salt, and we're going to put in a fourth of a teaspoon of salt, okay? And I'm just using regular table salt, and that's 1/4 of a teaspoon of that regular table salt. Now, once you have all your spices in your bowl, use either a wire whisk like I'm doing or either a fork, and make sure that you blend very well all your spices, the flour, and the cocoa together. You want to make sure that you have a nice uniform color of all the spices, the cocoa, and the flour. Now let me share with you the reason why this cookie is so special to me. This cookie recipe was shared with me 27 years ago when my husband and I were first married. And that first Christmas that we were married, we could not spend a lot on Christmas presents because we were saving for our first home. And so what we did was I took the cookie recipe that was given to me, and I made cookies. My husband and I baked in our little apartment kitchen, and we baked a ton of these gingerbread cookies, decorated them, put them in tins, and shared them with all of our family and friends. And it just became a tradition that every single Christmas I baked these cookies and we decorated them. And when our kids were born, we did the same thing. Our kids love these cookies. It is the cookie that we have left out for Santa over the years. And so this cookie is just so near and dear to my heart. And I am it's my pleasure just to share this with you. Also, in the description box below, I'm going to have a list of all the ingredients you need to make this delicious, yummy cookie. Now, to our bowl, in our mixing bowl, we have put our sugar. We also put our butter, and we're making sure that we are whipping that really well. Now, to that, we are adding in our molasses, and the molasses, it just gives this cookie such a delicious richness. All those different components of the spices and the cocoa and the molasses and that ginger, it is just such a nice marry of flavors. Now, be sure that when you are blending your ingredients, that you use your spatula to get anything that may gather at the bottom of the bowl. Now also, this dough is going to end up being a very dry dough, but I'm going to show you what you need to do to work with the dough to get that consistency that you need to roll it out to make these delicious cookies, okay? Now what we did was I put a little bit of our cocoa powder flour mixture, then I added my 1 egg, and that egg was at room temperature, and then I'm going to proceed forward like I'm doing now and adding in that flour mixture. Now you want to do this just a little bit at a time, and once you have all your cocoa, spice, and flour mixture together, and it's going to get to this point, you want to turn off your mixer and you're going to finish mixing your dough by hand, okay? Now, like I had mentioned, this dough is very dry, okay? It's going to start off very dry. What you need to do is just keep mixing, going from the bottom and pressing like I'm doing. You just want to kind of keep pressing the dough just like that. You want to press it while it's inside the bowl, and then again, when you transfer it from the bowl to your board or your silicone mat like I'm using, and I just keep pressing and bringing the dough together. Similar what you would do with like pie crust. You just press and keep bringing your dough together, and this is what it's going to look like. Nice, pressed, and uniform, okay? Now what you do next is we're going to divide our dough, and then we're going to refrigerate it. You want to refrigerate your dough for a minimum of 2 hours, okay? You want your dough to be nice and firm when you start to roll out your gingerbread, okay? And so I press it together, I reform, make a nice flat shape, and you can either use saran wrap or you can use a freezer bag like I'm doing. I just press out all the air, I close it up, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and you're going to let it chill for that 2 hours, okay? Now our gingerbread dough has been in the refrigerator chilling for the 2 hours, and now we're going to roll it out, and I'm going to show you how you want to roll out this dough. Now the other half I'm just going to put back in the refrigerator and let it chill. So on your mat, and I like to use my silicone mat, I'm going to dust a little bit. Don't use too much. You just want to dust a little bit of flour on your rolling pin and just a little bit of flour on top. Now don't worry, as you are working with the dough, the flour will blend in, and so you're not going to end up with the flour on your cookies when you go to use your cookie cutter, okay? And so just keep rolling. You see how I'm doing? I'm just rolling everything out, and I pick up the dough and I just move it around just like that. Now this dough as well, if you wanted to make gingerbread, like if you were going to make a gingerbread house or do cutouts like that, you can use this dough for that because it's firm enough to hold up to do that, okay? And so these are my cookie cutters. I have had these cutters for probably about 25 years, these little red cutters here, and we are making little gingerbread ladies. And so she's got a cute little dress, and so those are the ones that we are going to make this year. And I just press just like that, nice and pressed like that. Now while I am doing this, I have my oven. My oven is preheating on 350 degrees. Our cookies are going to bake from 7 to 9 minutes, but do not bake them longer than 10 minutes. The longer you bake them, the crispier they will be. And we like ours nice and soft, so that 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, right up in there, that's the sweet spot to have nice, soft gingerbread cookies. Now, once I do that, I like to use my little spatula once I've gotten mine cut out, and I transfer the cookies to my baking dish, to my baking pan with my little silicone. Now, also, these cookies will puff up. You're going to get a nice little rise on the cookies. Now, because these cookies are the chocolate, these are the chocolate gingerbread, you're not going to be able to see the browning that you typically would with most cookies. So you really have to go off your time frame of that 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes is usually what I say is the max. And then I kind of gather up my dough, I roll it out, and then we just keep going and we keep making as many cookies as you need to with your dough. Typically, I can get a couple of dozen from this cookie dough, okay? Also, when you roll out your dough, you want to roll it out about 1/4 of an inch thick, and 1/4 of an inch, kind of think of, say, like maybe 2 quarters stacked together, about that thickness, right? Now, these are our cookies. Our cookies have baked in the oven for 8 minutes. They are nice and set. They have puffed up nicely and they look so good, and it smells so good. That mixture of the chocolate and the ginger and the spices in the kitchen, and see how nice and perfectly they have shaped. They have baked up. And you know, when it comes to these cookies, we have decorated them over the years many different ways. Frostings and sprinkles and decorations. We have adorned these cookies for sure. But the last several years, the family has enjoyed just powdered sugar. Just some simple powdered sugar sprinkled on these cookies gives that nice little sweetness, and it's so good. And you know what though? Let's go on and give these cookies a try. Let's give them a taste and see how we did this year with our chocolate gingerbread cookies. Oh my gosh, perfect as always. Nice chocolatey flavor, nice hints of the ginger, the cinnamon, and the cloves. Well, these are just excellent once again. Well, I hope you give this recipe a try. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Go on and hit that subscribe button. If you like this video and appreciate the content, don't forget to show it some love, give it a thumbs up, and click share, and share this video with a friend or family. Well, that is it for me today, guys. And remember, it is always good when Devon is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.